gotta give it to Florida because they have all these signs. They brag about winning top awards for their state parks, and for good reason, because we've been in 2 or 3 in a row now, and they're beautiful, and they're clean, and they're remote, and just a pleasure to camp in.
Our first day of riding in Florida, we really followed the coastline through Pensacola and beyond east.
I'm getting really strong, and I'm losing a lot of weight, and I am addicted to this lifestyle. I hope that this trip has and will continue to inspire people. And I hope that what we have done here, by the simple act of choosing a cause greater than ourselves and actually doing it, I hope that just that, can have a domino effect.
The little lifestyle things of doing this touring on a bike will kind of carry over. Sleeping under the stars has been just awesome. I love being grounded, and I have a great bed at home, but it's wonderful sleeping on the ground every night.
For the first time on this trip, 3 different cars at 3 totally different times went out of their way to pull over where there was nowhere to pull over, and all creepy-like, and they just, you know, never see ladies on bicycles by themselves out in these parts. But as soon as I said I had a friend up ahead, then the conversation kind of changed, and then off they went.
Made a connection with a man and woman named Wendy and Dennis yesterday at the campground, and they have decided 15 miles west of Tallahassee, because we didn't know where we were going to stay. They have a friend that owns a 400-acre organic vegetable farm who's going to put us up.
Without having any context of who we were or what we were doing, welcomed us into their home and had an amazing time shooting with Aaron and Katie, their farming techniques and why they're doing what they're doing and how they're doing what they're doing.
We're at Full Earth Farm, which is an organic farm located in Quincy. And we sell most of our produce to Tallahassee, Florida, which is in the panhandle of Florida. We're about 8 miles from the Georgia border, closer to the Gulf of Mexico than the Atlantic.
A small-scale organic farm. We sell direct to customers. We sell at markets in town. We sell to a restaurant now, but our bread and butter is what's called the CSA model, or Community Supported Agriculture model. It's basically a fancy name for a subscription service where people pay ahead.
Essentially, you get a basket of vegetables once a week from local organic farmers, and that's such a cool thing. We have that in Oregon a lot, and I haven't utilized that. And in Florida, it's a pretty rare thing what they're doing.
I like the personal connection between the grower and the customer. People are always commenting how long the lettuce keeps. Makes you wonder how long it's been out of the field when you buy it in the grocery store. I like the CSA model because I think it's a win-win for the farmer and for the customer.
When I lived in Massachusetts, I lived there for 3 years, and I lived at a co-op with other people that were involved with agriculture and activism, and the more time I spent with them, the more I began understanding how important the local food movement is and how my parents have this land and they're not using it for that, and they could be. So when I moved back to Florida, I had this kind of pipe dream of starting a farm, but I hadn't really told anyone. And my parents kind of had the same pipe dream and pitched it to me, even though I hadn't told them about it, and it's all come together.
We don't have sandy soil, we have a good mix of clay and sand, which makes for a really good starting point for starting a farm.
Put that down as a cover crop. It kind of chokes out the weeds, and again, it helps retain the topsoil when we're not growing anything.
Another unique part of where we are is we can grow something any month of the year. At certain times we have 50 different varieties of things growing.
I remember one of my favorite meals was SpaghettiOs and Doritos. At the time, it's all I wanted to eat. So, yeah, I have no idea where it stems from.
I should mention that it's Thanksgiving tomorrow, and we still have eggplants. It's very exciting.
When I just have a day off, I'll just sit on the couch and do nothing and not go outside. Whereas most people are like, I'm gonna go outside, it's the weekend, I've been in my office all day. I'm like, I think I'll just stay in the office all day. It'd be nice.
I like how much it varies. I like how much I can learn. It doesn't really seem like the kind of job that, okay, I know it all. There's no way for me to advance anymore. It's just not possible. So we're very young. This is our second season. Did all this research in preparation for starting this, but I don't know anything. in comparison to what, if I continue doing this for 50 years, what I'll know then.
We met here, actually, with a group of friends.
Sitting around a campfire on a rainy New Year's Eve a couple of years ago over there in the woods.
Had a lot of fun, both lived in Massachusetts at the time, so it was kind of perfect. Started dating, moved here together, had different jobs.
I kind of worked for pay and for volunteer on different organic farms around Florida and in Massachusetts, so I just would learn things here and there, and it was always an interest of mine.
We weren't going to work together because it seemed like a recipe for disaster, but it became pretty clear that I couldn't do this by myself.
Everybody has disagreements and arguments at times, but I feel like we handle them really well and usually in a productive manner.
Before long, it was full-time, so I couldn't do it without him. He's become an absolute asset.
I've never worked with, a partner like that before, but it's worked out great. The sun's coming out, so I gotta put on my real farming hat.
We shop for our customers, but they get the cream of the crop. If we only have enough corn for the CSA, they get it before we take it to market. So they're guaranteed the freshest, best stuff before it goes to the farmer's market. You don't know what you're gonna get. We could throw you a curveball, you just don't know. But I think that's part of the charm and the fun of it too, is you become a better chef, you eat better, and it kind of brings fun back into the kitchen, and that sense of community is brought back to the kitchen, where I think so much culture stems from in the first place.
And so we're losing a lot of these varieties that have been carried for generations and generations and generations. There's seed companies that have made it their specialty to preserve these seeds. So a lot of the seeds that we grow are for that specific reason, to educate the public that yes, this is a yellow eggplant, it exists, there's red eggplants, there's all these varieties of everything, but you don't know about them if you just go to the grocery store. It's a forgotten piece of history.
I think education is necessary to explain the seasonality of food, and we're in a very unique situation that there is something that you can eat all year round. Most places aren't like that. So why not eat locally when you can? I mean, I've found that by the time greens are finished in the fall and it's time for squash, I'm really ready for it. And then it's here.
We're not in a place where the local food movement is thriving. We're probably at least 8 to 10 years behind California, Oregon, New England, all these places that this is what they support, and it's making impacts on the local supermarkets.
So it's becoming financially sustainable. I think we'll really get there next season, but 3 years out, that's not bad to be paying your way, and that feels really good to not just feel like we're my family's gardeners. No, we're actually, this is a business.
In the summer, even though we get a fair amount of rain, it's just so hot. Most of the moisture just evaporates right out. So we could get 2 inches of rain one week and still have to run the irrigation.
And water is crucial for plant growth. You have to have water if you want to have plants. We have a well provides to our drip irrigation lines. Drip irrigation wastes the least amount of water.
A low flow drip tape, it just lets out about every foot. There's a hole in the tape and it emits a drop of water. And we just lose less water evaporation that way than watering with a big overhead sprinkler.
There's issues all over the place. Nestle wants to put a bottling plant at the head of a river right outside of Tallahassee, and it's a huge controversy, and they've done it in other places and dried up the water. I don't take water for granted, even though it's very abundant where we are right now. We were experiencing drought-like conditions in September, and it was really scary. I mean, even though we're irrigating, there's nothing like rain, and rain is what the plants really, really want.
I don't think the system that we have is going to hold up. People are getting sick all the time for the food that they're eating. There's a lot of reasons to do organic farming or to support it. One really big one is protecting our watershed. The runoff from agriculture is hugely impacting our water sources. There's just a lot more diseases than there were before all this industrial revolution and chemical agriculture taking over.
I've heard of places, I want to say it's like Colorado, maybe Arizona too, where it's illegal to have rain barrels because that water, you're not allowed to collect that water. You can't have that water. It belongs to everybody. But then there's people like Nestle that are coming and buying it, and it's a big problem.
She brings the produce in from the field and sets it up here at our washing station. Everything gets washed 3 times. We first scoop out the dirtiest water and go pour it on plants that we have growing around the barn. And then we drain the sinks into a tank that's right outside. So then we have the water when we are going through a dry period, rather than just having it flow out and go to waste.
We have more organic matter in the soil, for one thing, than most large-scale, conventional, like industrialized farms have. And what that does is help retain moisture in the soil so we don't need to use as much water as if we were out here with like a big sprinkler spraying the whole field.
Just put this on some buns, some ketchup, and you got yourself a burger. There's a lot to be said for working with the soil and working with resources that we already have. For example, manure, waste from processing plants. Fish waste is a great thing for compost. We get wood chips from the city. It feels really good to feel like we're taking stuff out of the waste stream.
I don't want to think of myself as like this hero. I'm just a person doing a thing and having a good time, and if people are interested and they want to learn about it and I can teach them what I know, that would be great. Apparently, there's enough food in the world to feed 3 times our population. And of that, we throw a huge percentage of it away. Why? Why do we do that? So, I'd like to feed everybody. It's ridiculous. We can. We absolutely can.